This week on Earth, we've got a lineup that's going to tear through extremes of sound and mood, from the suffocating weight of doom to the chaotic storms of black metal, the violent pulse of deathcore, and the unpredictable insanity of prog. It's all here. 7 albums that prove heavy music is still pushing boundaries, still evolving and still hitting us right in the chest. So welcome to Unearthed. Roll the intro, please. Lorna are back, and you already know what that means. Symphonic deathcore at its most cinematic, most ambitious and most crushing. Now, the new record, I Feel the Everblack Festering Within Me, is an hour-long odyssey through breakdowns, blackened atmospheres, orchestral grandeur, and pure vocal savagery. This was released on 12th of September through Century Media Records. Take a listen. And while it's undeniably a big statement from the band, it's also one that shows both their strengths and limitations. Let's start with what this album nails. The production is very clean, polished, some even the point of, could I say, sterile, but it works for the sheer size of the sound. Now, the choirs, the orchestration, the layering, it feels massive, like you're sitting in a theater watching a deathcore opera unfold. And Will Ramos is once again at the center of it all. His range is monstrous. Gutturals that shake the floorboards, shrieks that could shatter glass, and everything in between. On tracks like In Darkness and A Nameless Hymn, you hear that emotional weight in this delivery, not just brutality for brutality's sake. Now, the guitars deserve a shout out too, because they're not just chugging through breakdowns. On several songs, the melodies veer into, dare I say, almost power metal territory, soaring above the chaos in a way you wouldn't expect from deathcore. Unbreakable is a perfect example. It has this uplifting, almost triumphant feel in parts before it dives headfirst into crushing heaviness. It's a nice bit of contrast that makes the brutality hit harder. And of course, the standouts, Prison of Flesh kicks the album off like a wrecking ball, setting the tone fucking immediately. Oblivion, which was a single, is one of the heaviest moments here, with a breakdown that feels like the ground opening up beneath you. Wrathborn leans into blackened textures and blast beats, reminding you that the band still has a foot firmly in extreme metal. And Unbreakable, as mentioned, brings melody and almost and a lot of atmosphere in ways that feel fresh for them. Even a track like A Nameless Hymn stretches the sound with emotional, almost melancholic tones that hint at a band willing to push beyond their own walls. But here's the issue, and it's a really big one. Every single fucking song has a breakdown, and not just any breakdown, the kind you can feel coming a mile away. It's become the Lorna formula: orchestral intro, blast beat, symphonic layering verse, and then you can practically count down to the slam. When it hits, yeah, it's devastating, but by track 6 or 7, the shock is fucking gone. It really is. Instead of being caught off guard, you're waiting for it, and that predictability saps the impact. Now, the length doesn't fucking help either. At fucking 66 minutes, an hour and 6 minutes, can you believe it? That's so long for a deathcore album. Now, the album starts to wear on you, to be honest, especially when the blueprint is so consistent. Tracks blur fucking together, and instead of a crescendo, I feel so fatigued listening to this. It's almost like the album gives you too much of a good thing, to the point where the weight of it all becomes fucking exhausting. That's not to say this isn't a strong record. Now, Lorna are still the kings of this style, symphonic deathcore, blending black metal, symphonic grandeur, and deathcore into something that sounds absolutely colossal. But for all the ambition, the lack of variation in structure holds it back from being truly monumental. So where does that leave us? This is a record packed with highlights, packed with massive fucking moments, and one that fans of deathcore will absolutely devour. But it's also a record that shows the danger of sticking too rigidly to your own formula. I'm giving this a solid fine. Yeah, 6 out of 10. When it works, it's breathtaking. When it doesn't, it's just another breakdown in the sea of fucking breakdowns. Moving on. This week is the Doom week of Unearthed. Very special. With Paradise Lost releasing a new album, it already felt like the stars had aligned for fans of sorrow-drenched heavy music. But then November's Doom dropped Major Arcana, and it was an old friend stepping back into a room with a record that reminds you why this band has been flying the Death Doom flag for nearly 3 decades. So this isn't just another addition to their discography, it's one of those albums that feels like a culmination of everything they do best. Now the record begins with June, a short but powerful opener, gentle piano notes drifting in like rain against a window pane. The vocals are clean and mournful, and before anything heavy arrives, you're already drawn into their world. It's melancholy, it's intimate, and it sets the stage for the journey to come. Then the title track Major Arcana erupts with thick doom-laden riffs and guttural vocals that hit with force. The song weaves between crushing heaviness and beautifully melodic passages with clean vocals soaring over the chaos. Right away, you hear that contrast, the balance of brutality and beauty that defines this album. From there, the momentum builds. Ravenous leans heavier into the death metal side of things, ferocious fucking growls and pummeling fucking riffs, driving it forward. But even in that aggression, the band finds space for melody. Little lead guitar flourishes that lift the song above just pure violence. Now the Fool continues that energy, raging with thunderous power before the album pulls back again with Mercy. Now this track is softer, almost fragile in parts, relying on clean singing and atmosphere to create such a space. It's a reminder that heaviness isn't always about volume. Sometimes it's about emotional weight, and Mercy nails that. One of the absolute standouts for me is Bleed Static, a sprawling 8-minute epic. It's everything November's Doom stand for in one track. The riffs are devastating, the chorus resonates long after it's over, and the leads cut through the gloom with soaring precision. It's a song that doesn't waste a second of its runtime. Every shift in dynamics feels purposeful, every note dripping with intent. Following that, Dusking Day continues to ride, starting with a brooding, minimal feel before exploding into epic doom that swallows you whole. And then there's the song 12, The Closer, which ties the album together with one final devastating statement. It's heavy, it's reflective, and it leaves you with that ache in your chest. What makes Major Arcana so effective is how well it uses contrast. Now the gutturals are savage, yet the cleans are genuinely strong. Not just an afterthought, but a vital part of the emotional weight. The softer passages aren't filler, they're breathing space that makes the heavy moments hit even fucking harder. Production-wise, everything has room to breathe. The guitars don't drown the vocals, the drums hit with impact without suffocating the mix, and the bass underpins everything with dark, resonant hum. Now, it's polished, but not overly sterile. It still feels organic and alive. Thematically, the album's exploration of tarot and mysticism adds an extra layer. It fits the mood of the music perfectly. These aren't just songs, they're like chapters in a ritual. From the title track to the symbolism woven into the lyrics, it feels like November's Doom crafted something deeper than just a collection of riffs, just a collection of songs. Now, if I'm being critical, sure, there are moments where the band leans on their established formula. Some of the clean passages linger longer than necessary, and a few of the slower sections feel like familiar territory rather than something unexpected and something special. And yes, the gothic melodrama in some of the lyrics can border on predictable, you could say. But here's the thing. when it's delivered with this much conviction, with this much honesty, it doesn't feel like a weakness. It feels like a signature. Major Arcana is the sound of a veteran band, not just surviving, but really fucking thriving. It's an album that embraces the full spectrum of doom, crushing, beautiful, sorrowful, and cathartic. I'm giving this an unearthed gem for fans of like death doom, for fans of gothic heaviness. This is as good as it gets in 2025, and we're going to talk about another album, another doom album later on. Violent Nature, released 19th September through Fearless Records, is a turning point for Prevail. It's not just their fourth album, it's their first without Brian Burkheiser, who left the band before its release after, well, he had a serious illness. That's a huge change. Brian was the clean vocal anchor, and his absence could have left a massive fucking hole. But here's where things get interesting. Eric steps up and takes on both harsh and clean vocals across the entire record, and honestly, he does a pretty good job. Now, this album proves Eric isn't just capable, he's versatile enough to carry Prevail on his shoulders. What you notice right away is how much heavier this record is. Now, Violent Nature, the title track, opens with like raw aggression, feral screams, and guitars that pound you straight into the ground. Then you get NWO, New World Order, and Into Hell, which lean even further into heaviness. Now, riffs loaded with menace, breakdowns that hit like a war, and Eric's vocals in full unhinged mode. These are some of the heaviest tracks Prevail have ever fucking done, have ever put their name to. But the other side of the record shows something completely different. Synthetic soul almost feels like a tribute to Linkin Park, especially Thousand Suns era. Dark electronics in the verses, a slick nu metal groove, and a chorus that's pure early 2000s nostalgia with a modern polish. Then there's Crimson and Clover, probably one of my favorite songs off the album, which is the softest track they've ever fucking written. Full ballad territory, boy band, sounding like something One Direction would do, but it's actually pretty good. Clean singing front and center, with Eric showing he can carry emotion without relying on screams. It's intimate, it's fucking melodic, and it proves the band isn't afraid to strip things down. Rain also works in this vein, showcasing Eric's cleans with sincerity, balancing vulnerability with power, and they don't abandon the sound that made them popular. Now, Annihilate Me and Stay Away are that classic Prevail formula, heavy enough to please the metalcore crowd, but melodic and hooky enough to stick in your head. Now, these songs feel like the bridge between who they were and who they're becoming. Now, one of the strongest elements of Violent Nature is its length. It's shorter than their past records, coming in at around 10 songs, but that actually works. It runs about 32 minutes. There's no filler here, no bloated sections dragging the runtime down. Every song feels deliberate. That said, shorter doesn't mean flawless. Now, here's where the cracks show. The songwriting isn't as sharp as their last album. Structurally, you can see the breakdowns coming a fucking mile away. They hit hard, but they're predictable. And after a few listens, the impact sort of wears off. Some of the softer moments feel a bit too safe. Like Crimson and Clover could have pushed the emotion further instead of playing it straight, but it's still a great fucking song, holy shit. That melody is amazing, and as much as I appreciate how heavy tracks like Violent Nature and Into Hell are, I still feel like the band is holding something back. There are glimpses of chaos, of really going off the rails, but they reel it in before it becomes completely unhinged. Another thing, as impressive as Eric is, make no mistake, his performance is the highlight of this album. There are times where you miss that interplay of two distinct voices. With Brian gone, the dynamic between harsh and clean isn't as contrasting as before. I believe also there's a backup vocalist as well that's also in the band. probably one of the guitarists or something that also does cleans. Now Eric makes it work, but part of the band's identity has shifted, and that is quite noticeable on this. Still, Violent Nature is an important album for Prevail. It proves they can survive a lineup shake and still deliver something that feels big, fucking emotional and varied. It's the heaviest album to date and the softest album at the same time, which is a really bold statement, but it is. But it's also uneven. The safe songwriting, predictable structures keep it from matching the high bar they set with their last record. So where does that leave it? It's not a masterpiece, but it's not a misstep either. It's a solid, varied record, and with some brilliant moments and some missed opportunities. And most of all, it shows that Eric can carry this band into the next chapter with confidence. I'm giving this another solid find. This is a brilliant slab of black metal. Veis, Ende is heavy, it's atmospheric, and it shows just how good Brotthogg have become at blending brutality with melody. Take a listen. From the opening seconds of Fram Krip Funden, you're immediately dragged into the world, blistering tremolo, picking hard-hitting drums and tortured vocals that just tear right through the fucking mix. It's savage, aggressive, but at the same time there's a sense of craft here. Every instrument feels like it's serving a purpose. The guitars are the standout, the riffs slice through like shards of ice, but they never rely on just speed. There are melodic leads woven throughout that elevate the songs, giving them a grandeur that you don't always get in modern black metal. The solos in particular never feel like filler. They are all fucking killer. They add real drama. A track like E Vanvide Vod shows the band at full throttle, fast, relentless, pure chaos. Then you've got songs like Pestal, which slows things down, leaning into a darker, doomier atmosphere where the melodies hang in the air like smoke. And Meh, the closer, is exactly how you end a black metal record. Haunting, dramatic, leaving you with this feeling of unease. Vocally, Jonas Moen and Craig Faruns absolutely crush it. Their harsh, expressive delivery gives the album so much texture. From the piercing shrieks to guttural lows, it all feels unhinged but completely in control. The drumming deserves a nod too, relentless blast beats but always precise, pushing the songs forward without drowning out the details. What I really love is how Ende balances extremes. It's undeniably black metal, it's cold, at times raw and furious, but it's also packed with melody. Now those melodic guitar runs keep the songs memorable, giving them identity instead of just being another war of tremolo. You can hear the shades of Emperor, a bit of Dissection, and even a touch of early Immortal in there. But Brotthogg put their own spin on it and avoid being a copycat. If I had to nitpick, some of the longer tracks do stretch out a bit. At times you're waiting for the next shift, for that big melodic lead or tempo change to kick in. And yeah, some riffs feel familiar if you're well versed in black metal like myself, but honestly, these are minor criticisms when the overall execution is this strong. Now at around 43 minutes across 7 tracks, the album feels quite powerful. It never overstays its fucking welcome, but it gives you just enough scope to feel like you've been on a journey. The atmosphere is consistent, cold, haunting, steeped in folklore, and the production strikes a great balance between clarity and rawness. This album is everything I want in black metal right now. It's savage, it's melodic, it's atmospheric, and it feels alive with purpose. Now, Brotthogg have crafted something that's both traditional in spirit, in modern and execution. And it stands as one of the strongest works yet. I'm giving this an unearthed gem. Now this is where Esoctrilihum really come alive. You got Ghostigmatah, Spiritual Rites of the Psychopomp, Abxulöm. Released on Void Hanger Records, 12th of September, I think. So it's intense, it's epic, it's easily a step above their last record, which I cannot remember. I just want to forget about that record. That album had atmosphere, but it felt like it wandered in places. It was yeah, I did not like that. Here, the focus is sharper, the songwriting is stronger, and the scope feels absolutely massive. Now, this is Asoctrilihum at his most ambitious in years, ritualistic, chaotic, suffocating, but at the same time strangely melodic and purposeful. From the very start, you're thrown into the deep end. The opener, hark, the bewitched trumpet of the red harbinger is calling the dead to gather, sets the ritual tone perfectly. It's violent, swelling with blackened fury, but also layered with eerie melodies that make it feel like you've stepped into some ancient ceremony. And yes, it still has that really unique sound by Esoctrilihum. Kneeling before the keep of the golden key to the absolute void follows with more traditional black metal riffing, but underneath it's loaded with tension, those melodies weaving like ghosts through the chaos. One of the real standouts for me is hypnotic dance macabre of the blind noctavagents. It's unsettling, hypnotic, and living up to its name, this strange ritualistic dance between atmosphere and violence. Then you get orgiastic sacrificial mass to conjure Abxulöm, Psychopomp, Supreme, that's a mouthful, which is one of the most crushing songs here. The riffs hit like slabs of concrete, the drums pound like ritual war beats, and the atmosphere is suffocating. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of opera on this album, a lot of epic moments, very theatrical. You have songs like tracks like Mauled, Swallowed, and Dissolved in Nothingness by the eight-eyed Psychopomp lean into that slower, more atmospheric side of Esoctrilihum. They stretch out, layering synths, folk instruments, and eerie effects until you feel swallowed whole. And of course, the vocals. Asoctrilihum is as unhinged as ever. Shrieks that sound like they're coming from another dimension. Gutturals that drag you into the abyss. The clean vocals make appearances too. That drunken sailor chanting he's known for, but it's used sparingly this time, but he still does use a lot of clean vocals on this, which I'm not too happy about. And because of that, it kind of actually works this time, just enough to add a strange flavor without derailing the intensity. The scope of this record is enormous, nearly fucking 80 minutes long, again filled with not just guitars, drums, but like fucking harps, organs, fucking synths, and more. It's sprawling, it's layered, and at times it feels less like an album and more like a massive rite being performed. Compared to the other fucking album, which I didn't like, which dragged in places, Ghostigmatah keeps you engaged right to the end because each passage feels purposeful. Every song has direction, even when it slows down. But let's talk about the negatives because they are quite important. This album, for all its ambition, still doesn't quite hit the heights of Dive Requiem for the Serpent Telepath. That album was lightning, and that album was lightning in a bottle, completely unhinged, overflowing with ideas, and relentless from start to finish, incredibly fucking melodic, and that's why it's one of my favorite black metal albums of all fucking time. Ghostigmatah is brilliant, but it doesn't have that same feral unpredictability like 2020 record. The second half especially, while atmospheric and a little bit emotional, does drag a little. You feel the weight, but you also catch yourself waiting for the next big moment to arrive. And the density can be overwhelming. There are stretches where the layers blur into a wall of noise that demands patience to really unpack. Still, those flaws don't sink the record. If anything, they remind you that Esoctrilihum is always walking the line between genius and chaos. When it hits, it's transcendent, nightmarish, and at times beautiful. All at once. When it falters, it's only because the scope is so massive that not every moment can hit as hard as the last. In the end, Ghostigmatah is Esoctrilihum finding their fire again. His fire again. It's ambitious, it's terrifying, and it's proof that Ascension is still one of the most unique voices in extreme metal. It might not be Diaphragm for the set metal buff, but it doesn't have to be. This is still one of the most intense, atmospheric, brilliantly written albums of late 2025. Looks like we're going to have a really long episode, but we now go to Ascension. Now, this album floored me. It feels like the perfect summary of everything Paradise Lost have done across a long career. It was released on Nuclear Blast on 12th of September, I'm pretty sure. The crushing death doom of their early days, in the gothic atmosphere of the mid-era, and the emotional weight of their later material. It's their 17th studio album, and yet it sounds so fucking fresh, alive, and deeply moving. The opener, Serpent on the Cross, waste no time, crushing riffs, thick doom atmosphere, and Nick Holmes on form with some of his heaviest growls in years. It sets a tone that says Paradise Lost is still here to devastate. Salvation then pulls things into something grander, more epic, with towering riffs and mournful harmonies that feel absolutely massive. The gothic edge comes through strongly on Silence Like the Grave and Tyrant Serenade. Those songs are drenched in atmosphere. It's heavy as well, with Holmes leaning into those clean, dramatic vocals along with those gutturals that remind me of their mid-90s records as well. There's a haunting elegance here that balances beautifully against the heavier tracks. Lay a riff upon the world slows things down, offering a reflective, almost dirge-like passage that gradually swells into something quite monumental. Midway through, the precipice hits with weight, heavy and dynamic, but also emotional, acting like a bridge between the doomier first half and a more melancholic, reflected close of the record. And then you reach A Life Unknown, the true closer. This is where Paradise Lost strip it all back and leave you with something achingly beautiful. It's really emotional, it's haunting, it's one of the most powerful album endings they've delivered in years. You can feel the weight of their whole career in this song. Sorrow, reflection, but also a strange catharsis. It's the kind of closer that leaves you sitting in silence after it ends. What I love about Ascension is that it feels like every era of Paradise Lost is represented. There's the brutality of their death doom beginnings, the sweeping gothic melodicism of the middle period, and the refined heaviness of their modern work, like albums like Obsidian and Plague Within, I think it's called. It all comes together in a way that feels seamless, like the band are pulling every thread of their history into one tapestry. It's definitely not perfect. The front half is definitely stronger with more energy and surprises. The back half leans heavily into mood, and while it's powerful, a couple of the songs do feel a little bit safe. Like, they're treading familiar ground. Holmes' vocal transition too, as strong as they are, don't always hit with the same daring edge they once had, but those criticisms barely dent the impact of this record, because make no fucking mistake, this is one of the Paradise Lost's best late era albums. It's heavy, it's melancholic, it's gothic, it's emotional, everything you'd want from them, delivered with confidence and maturity. Ascension proves that after nearly 4 decades, Paradise Lost is still one of the most important voices in doom and gothic metal, giving it a monumental score. And to close this week, we've got The Blue Nowhere by Between the Buried and Me, released on Inside Out Music on 12th of September. And honestly, what a way to end off the show. This album is truly monumental. Take a listen. It's not a masterpiece that Colors 2 was, but it's right up there as one of the strongest records in their entire discography. It's ambitious, unpredictable, full of insane transitions, loaded with jazzy flourishes, prog chaos, and then anchored with a second half that leans heavy on mood and emotion. Now this album shows every side of Between the Buried and Me, the fun, the chaos, the beauty, and the reflection. It's one of my absolute favorites of 2025. Now the first half of the record is where you get that rush of Between the Buried and Me madness that keeps you fucking gritting track after track. Things we tell ourselves in the dark immediately tells you they haven't lost it. You got jazz chords thrown in the middle of riffs, funky grooves, off-kilter rhythms, and then those sudden explosions of heaviness. It's playful, it's unpredictable, and it's the exact kind of opener you want from this band. Then Gotera follows it up with something darker and more violent, jagged. Oh, rise. Oh fuck, I love that song. Jagged riffs, industrial touches, sudden twists, and one of the most punishing tracks here, but it still has that quirky Between the Buried and Me. Absent thereafter is where things really shine. This is classic Between the Buried and Me insanity. It jumps from ambient beauty, the shredding heaviness, it throws in weird jazzy breaks and just keeps evolving. It's one of those songs that feel like 3 or 4 songs in one, but somehow it all holds together. Then the band gives you those little interludes like Pause, builds onto Door Number 3, which is incredible, Mirador Uncoil, and well, Door Number 3 is like an 11-minute song, but these songs, they're essential to the fucking flow. They add character, they add weirdness, and they keep you off balance, so then when the next big track drops, you're not ready for it. This first half of the album is pure Between the Buried and Me chaos, unexpected fun, and just relentlessly creative. But then the second half shifts gears, the chaos fades, and suddenly you're in a much sort of moodier, more reflective headspace. Psychopomp kicks things off, slower pacing, thick layers of sound, more weight, more drama, but still pretty fucking heavy. It doesn't have that same insane transitions as the earlier tracks, not as fun, but instead it pulls you down into more heavier, emotional space. Slow Paranoia continues that trend, darker and brooding, building tension rather than constantly flipping genres. And then we hit the title track, The Blue Nowhere. This one's powerful, it's emotional, it's melodic, and it feels deeply personal. The clean vocals carry so much weight, and the instrumentation swells with this reflective mood. It's one of the most heartfelt tracks they've ever written. But here's the thing, it does drag a little. It stretches out almost intentionally, like they wanted you to sit in the atmosphere. It's beautiful, but after the chaos of the first half, you can feel the pacing slowed down a little bit too much. Still the emotion lands, and it's one of the highlights of the record. Finally, Beautifully Human closes everything out. It feels like the perfect way to close off the album, weaving together motives from earlier, wrapping the journey with a mix of heaviness and hope. It leaves you with closure, with that sense that you've been on a full trip through every corner of this sound. If this album was a person, they would be bipolar. Musicianship-wise, this band is still untouchable. With Dusty Warren gone, Paul Wagner takes on all the guitars here, and he absolutely delivers. You get shredding solos, smoothie, jazzy runs, offbeat grooves, and intricate riffs that never feel repetitive. Some bluegrass southern twang happening. The addition of brass, woodwinds, and even saxophone makes the album even more unpredictable. And this is all in the first half. Those little flourishes give it extra character. Now, it's not flawless. Some of the later songs do meander a bit. The surprises fade in the second half, and a few transitions feel like they're just to show off rather than serve the song. And if you've been following Between the Buried and Me for years, some riffs and structures will feel quite familiar. You can hear echoes of older records, but these are just nitpicks. When you step back and take in the whole album, it's clear this is one of their strongest works in years, well, not as good as Colors 2, but you get what I mean. Like, the blue nowhere captures everything that makes Between the Buried and Me special. The first half is wild and fun, keeping you on edge with insane ideas, and the second half slows things down, gets a bit moody, and hits you emotionally. Together, they make for a record that's not just entertaining, but genuinely fucking moving. For me, this is one of the standout albums of 2025. It might not reach the legendary status of Colors 2, but it's close. And it proves that Between the Buried and Me are still one of the most exciting, creative, and fearless bands in progressive metal. I am giving this a. This has never been ever on Unearthed. It gets a platinum. So yeah, that's it for Unearthed. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Let me know in the comments below what you discovered, and also let me know what you thought about these albums. So keep it heavy, keep it simple, and I will see you on the next Unearthed.